I'm Amanda.
And I'm Mike. And
this is Saturday Morning Serial. Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Saturday Morning Serial. I'm here with Mike and Matty. He's a Serial fan member as well, so welcome back, Matty.
Thank you very much.
Matty, you have a podcast now, so why don't you introduce it and tell us about it?
Yeah, my podcast is with my buddy Tyler. The show is called No Nerds Were Harmed. We talk about movies, comics, games, and all things that are nerdy. We talk about nerd news, so like just things that are happening in pop culture or just things that are happening with DC or Marvel, and we'll discuss those for a little bit, and then we'll have a topic for each episode, and then we'll let everybody know what we're reading and playing and watching recently, and then we'll tell everybody what's going on in the next episodes is usually how our show runs.
Cool. Make sure you go check out Matty's podcast. It's awesome. Today's episode's going to be a little different because I'm going to be interviewing Mike and Matty because, Mike, you made a film called MACH.
I did, yes.
So I'm going to be asking you and Matty questions about the creative process you did making MACH. It'll give the viewers a really good insight on what goes into making a film and the hard work and the dedication. Yeah. So starting off, how did you and Matty meet?
You want to take this, Mike? Or you want me to handle this?
I mean, you guys are bros.
All I remember was we met in Miss Wren's graphic design class.
Yeah, that's right. We had a graphic design class, and I sat in front of Mike, and he was very much the nerdy guy in the room with me. Like everything that he was drawing was something that had to do with a comic book character, or it was something with Comic-Con. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I know that when I looked at his artwork, I was like, I could talk to this guy. And I would turn around on my desk and just do my work at his desk, because we would talk about Lost or Spider-Man or whatever comic book characters we wanted to talk about at that time. But that's how our bromance started.
Yeah. So we met in senior year, the second semester of senior year in high school at that class. And then when summer rolled around, we stopped talking to each other. Like, we never communicated. And then all of a sudden I met Kevin Green. And then Kevin was looking for an editor for his movies. And then I actually found you on YouTube, I think, Matty.
Probably.
And then I was like, oh, I remember this guy from high school. And then I reached out to you to meet Kevin. And then we all went and got frosty chocolate milkshakes together.
Yes, we did.
That's adorable.
And then, that's kind of like where the real friendship started. So,
yeah,
I remember we went out for frosty chocolate milkshakes and you met Kevin. And then one time I just picked you up and went over to our buddy Anthony's house, who was also in that graphic design class.
Yes, he was. That's right. I remember that.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so cute. I'm touched. And you guys, if you take a graphic design class, maybe you'll meet your best friend for life.
That's right.
Like Matty and Mike. So how did MACH come to fruition?
So back to art class. So the year before I met Matty, junior year, I was in a drawing class, and I had the wonderful teacher, Mrs. North, and she assigned us a weekly drawing on top of our big projects we were doing. So we had a different topic we had to draw every week, and she was like, hey, I want you all to draw a comic book superhero that you make up. I was like, I love comic book superheroes. I love comics. I love to draw. I'll do this. And then I thought, oh shit, like comic book characters, they're just not like images. They have like backstories and stuff. So I told my buddy Ryan, and Ryan was like, oh, I can kind of help you create something. So we came up with this idea of 9.8 being this character that could control gravity and being from the Chicago area. So I kind of developed that, and then I drew him, and then I would continue to draw him in like every other project I did in high school. So after I drew him a couple times, I started like creating a backstory for him, like where he came from. And then I started writing like little stories, like little short stories, like George McFly or something. And eventually, everyone graduated from high school, and my friend Ryan went off to Columbia to learn how to write and film movies. And he came up to me one day and said, "Hey, I want to make a movie about 9.8." I said, "Well, that sounds really complicated, man. Like, isn't there like a simpler character you could do? Because that's really complicated. We don't know anything about visual effects." So
we
then
just
I was,
we just we just draw things.
yeah, I just drew things. So I was like, okay, well, what about this mock character that I made a while ago? Like, I remember watching Smallville and being really blown away by Bart Allen they had on the show a couple times. I was like, a speedster character that like puts Superman in his place. Like, that's really cool to me. Like, no one is better than Superman at anything. And then this guy shows up. He's like, no, I'm the fastest guy around. That was cool. So we kind of wrote out this like script. We had no idea how to format a script. We wrote out this script. I kind of made like this new story about Mach and where he comes from, and his accent that he has, and why he gets superpowers. And we tried to make it in 2009. We tried to make this movie. So Ryan actually wanted to hold auditions for all of the characters in the film, and he had an old neighbor named Trevor, and Trevor was Kevin's editor at the time. So Trevor told Kevin what he was doing, and then Kevin showed up, Britt showed up, and then our friend Marshall was invited by my buddy Aaron. So all these people came into Ryan Grace's basement, and they all auditioned for this movie, and they read the script. And I was like, wow, this Kevin Green guy, he's already made 2 movies. Like, he must know what he's doing. I was so impressed. So I told Kevin, hey man, I want to learn everything about what you do. I want to learn animation at school, but I would love to learn filmmaking on top of it. And I want to help you out. So I helped Kevin make countless movies. And the thing with Mock is that it never took off. Like, we had these auditions, and then we had actors drop out. Then we couldn't get anyone for the lead role. Like, it just didn't happen. And eventually, I want to say in 2010, we casted this guy and we shot a couple scenes in the movie. And then summer ended, and then the cast scattered, and the lead actor lost interest. And then, Ryan was off at school, so like there was no one to like helm the project together. But I went over to Kevin's and I was venting to Kevin. I was like, man, this movie's never gonna get made. I really want to make it. It's what got me involved in filmmaking in the first place. And he's like, well, why didn't you just make it? I was like, that's a good idea. So I reworked the script and I got rid of a lot of things that I didn't think would work or we couldn't do. And I set out to get another cast. And I called back this actor who we were going to cast originally when Ryan first started trying to make it. And then he dropped out again. And this was like 2 days before we started filming at Paradise Smoothies. So I needed this like actor. I was like, who am I going to call? Like, who's going to accept this project? For whatever reason, I had Tyler Burke's number, probably from a call sheet. Don't ever call people who are on a call sheet that you shouldn't. But I called Tyler Burke and I just like pitched him the story. I'm like, hey man, are you down? He's like, sure. Okay, whatever. So we started filming that in June of 2012. And that's how the movie came to fruition. It was a lot of trial and error.
And for our listeners, Kevin, he has been on this podcast. He's our horror movie fan friend. So you guys have heard him. And then Marshall is also, they are a serial fan member as well. So it's so great that you just maintain these friendships through the film.
Yes, and of course, Tyler, Matty, you want to talk about your relationship with Tyler?
Yeah, so Tyler is who we had mentioned, who was the main character in Mock. He is also my co-host for my show, or for our show, and he's also a serial member as well because he did the Justice League
right.
episode.
That's right.
So it's a full circle here of people coming around.
Yeah, it's a great idea for an episode. Good job, Mike. uh,
So, Maddie, what is your earliest memory of mock?
My earliest memory of mock, as far as I can remember, is hearing about it for the first time was when I was helping film Kevin Green's film, and I think I saw Mike. This is so weird calling him Mike. Everyone I call him Simic. So
just
listeners, I call
refer to
him
me
Simic.
as Simic from
Yeah,
now on.
Simic.
I know who I am.
So I saw Simic walk in, and he was wearing the 9.8 emblem on his T-shirt, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" And I believe our friend Marshall was the one who ended up telling me about, oh, this is the characters, this is the movie we're filming, and I was like, I had no idea that this was something going on that was aside from this project we were already working on at the time. Um, and I wasn't involved in any way with the first rendition of mock, but
I, do you remember going downtown to Chicago on the train and like shooting a scene with Marshall as paparazzi?
I don't. I don't think I don't believe that I was involved with that scene.
You were there, man.
Was it
Yeah.
really? I'd have to
Yeah,
relook at footage because I don't know if I believe you.
you were there. Yeah.
I don't remember it.
I haven't seen any of this like original mock footage from Ryan for in ever, so I don't know if it still exists. But I still have the scene we shot at the hub. We shot one scene at the hub with Marshall's character, and I have that on a VHS tape. However, whatever format was before SD
Oh
was like
wow.
the tape. I have that. It's just sitting on my bookshelf right now. So
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, that's
Nice.
what that is.
yeah.
I thought it was like some secret thing. Oh, okay. Maddie, did you ever think mock would be completed?
I knew it would be completed. I know because there was a gap for listeners. There was a gap in time that we had started making mock, and we got through a good percentage of it, and I ended up getting a job, and I kind of something I feel bad for at this point was I had to leave the project for a while, and I was a cinematographer. I was helping out with a lot of things going on set, and I kind of had to leave the project to make money. And
You guys freeloaded
so
off of me for the last time.
yeah, pretty unfortunately, yes, it was a bad time, but yeah, so I knew it would get made. I knew Simic had the right mind, and he had the right crew that he was going to be having involved with him, that I knew it would get finished.
Yeah, both you and Ryan left the project to work at Walmart. Different Walmarts, but Walmarts. Oh, you worked at the same Walmart.
We eventually worked at the same Walmart, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, what was the biggest challenge that was presented for you guys with mock, especially you, Mike? What was your biggest challenge?
Definitely keeping the cast on board and keeping the cast, intact till the end of the movie, because the original problem starting in 2009 was that we couldn't find a lead actor. But I'm so thankful I met Tyler, and Tyler is 100% committed to his craft. So he was the best person to ask. So just actors. Visual effects was very hard as well, and then locations was very hard as well. Getting a lot of the things that slowed me down were getting locations, like office buildings or warehouses, basements. Like there's great tools nowadays that you can go online. It's like Airbnb for film locations, and you just type in what you want, and then you can go rent out the property to go shoot a movie now. It's so cool. But
Really?
Yeah, that's so true.
I don't know if like that the online actor casting thing was available yet, but I didn't know about it. So
That was
yeah,
super convenient.
everything was networking back then for me.
Yeah, that was super convenient. When I made my short film, I just went on Backstage and I was able to filter like actors for free, and I found two amazing actors for free. I mean, we paid them in like food and stuff, but and Tyler was in my short film as well. So, he's just overall a great
Yeah.
actor and a great guy. And right now he's involved in some pretty solid projects, I believe. So,
He met
right?
Marky Mark. He was in a scene with Marky Mark.
Yes, he
Okay.
was.
But
Yeah,
got
he's
caught.
doing a play right now that's going to be starting up again, the Till play about Emmett Till. So,
Cool.
yes. I think my biggest project, or my not my biggest project, my biggest challenge with mock at the time was, so we keep mentioning our buddy Kevin, and that's just because he was the guy who was making the films at the time, but he had left for California. So at the time, that put a big hinder in. Oh man, who's gonna make the movies now? And Simic is the one that stepped up because he was gonna make Mock. And I think that him leaving made us realize, oh my gosh, we have to put the big boy pants on at this point, and we have to do the scheduling and the shot list and the location scouting, just things that we weren't responsible for doing those things. So now we had to take those on, and I think that was a big challenge, but it was awesome to step up and do it, because now we have that in our back pocket of, we have that knowledge.
Mm-hmm. So how long did Mock take to film?
So, like, if you really look at it on that large scale, it started in, I think the first scene we ever shot was with Marshall at the youth center for her scene, and that was like January 3rd, 2009 or something, maybe 2009, and then we didn't wrap filming until on my version of the film until like October 2015. So it took however many years that was. I'm so bad at math.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many do you know how many days we ended up filming for the second rendition, I guess, of Mock?
I want to say we did like twice a week during the summer and weekends, on and
Okay.
off, for probably like at least 15 days during the summer. We shot one day in the winter, and then
Yeah.
I shot a handful of days the next summer, and then we shot one more day in October with Marshall's
So it's
big scene.
under so it was under 30 days
Yeah.
that we did it, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And what is your guys' favorite memory of making the film?
Oh man.
I'm gonna
I
let Matty take this one first, so I can steal his in case I don't have one.
Mm-hmm.
No, so I'd say mine was camaraderie. So Simic and I were friends beforehand, and it wasn't until Mock and working together, like we worked together on Kevin's films, but we had different responsibilities with Kevin's films. So this is the one that we had to work really tight together. So we got to know each other a lot better. We got a lot closer. While one of us was in the middle of a task or completing another task, then the other one was off doing their thing, because we knew we had the things that had to get done. So we both had the same goal, which is just make today run smooth. And yeah, I mean, this, in a way, this was another birth of our friendship. So this is my favorite memory from Mock.
Oh man, like I wore so many different hats during this production that I'm gonna pick one for like every responsibility that I had.
Yeah.
So as an actor getting to play Gunther, I really did enjoy that scene we shot in the New Lennox Commons with me, you, Marshall, and then Caitlin. That was so much fun to do,
Yeah.
and kind of play like a bickering, like will they, won't they relationship with Caitlin's character. And then as far as like directing goes, like I love all the scenes that we got to shoot in Marshall's house. Anything between Tyler's character Pete and then Michael Staskis's character Robert. All the father son stuff was so much fun to shoot. And then I don't know if one of our bigger days we shot the kidnapping scenes. You remember? And
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
our boy Robbie Peterson showed up in like khaki shorts. Do you remember this?
Yeah, we told everyone, hey, if you're gonna show up and you're gonna be these kidnappers, we need you to wear all black. So he shows up wearing khaki shorts and a t-shirt. I'm like,
Yeah,
what are you doing?
yeah, I remember that. And that same day we got to shoot a little party. Um, we have Pete coming home after his stay in the hospital, and he comes home and his family's throwing him a surprise party. And Tyler has this incredible like flip out, like this Christian Bale level like flip out, like I'm in a wheelchair, how dare you make light of this and everything. And we had the extras there, and the extras were all friends of Marshall's, so they're theater people. So we told the extras that like, hey, this character is going to come home. He's going to be recovering from this accident, but he's going to be very happy to see you. He's going to be so happy to see you. And then when we shot the scene, we put the camera on the extras first, and we let Tyler lead the scene, and we caught their reaction, their legitimate like shock, because Tyler just flipped out and was like screaming and yelling. It was great.
That's awesome.
I
I didn't
love
know that.
part of the fun of directing for me is being able to, like, I wouldn't necessarily say lie, but just give like different narratives of what's going to happen to each actor and kind of get that raw reaction that you want.
That's awesome. So, what's your guys' favorite character and or scene?
This is way easy for me. My favorite character is Freddie Finch.
Oh, what a good looking dude, right?
Because it's the character that I play for the what is it, the late night show scene?
Yeah.
I love that scene.
Absolutely my favorite scene. Because I got to act. It was fun. It was being behind the camera as much as I was, and everything that I was involved with. I was like, all right, cool. Let's get in front of the camera this time. So that was fun.
I really did enjoy. I enjoyed shooting that scene as well because all that fun visual effects stuff I got to do afterwards.
That's right.
My favorite scene. Yeah, definitely that scene definitely turned out really great. Again, anything with Tyler and his dad character. And my favorite character, gosh. I suppose if I had to pick one I like to write the most, it's probably Killer Queen, probably Marshall's character. Because she's just the wild card. You never know what she's gonna do, and she's just such a raw, motivated character. She's just like, I have these powers, and I just want to make money and be rich, and I could care less about fans or using my responsibility to do good. So yeah, I like that.
I think my favorite scenes in the film, for one, is Kevin's scenes when he's just a
Oh, yeah.
sarcastic asshole. I love it. And then I love it when people are just walking by and hitting you on the head. Knife pointing on the head. It's great.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh my god.
So, how did this movie come together in post production? I know I was there when you were like doing the animation for the beginning of the movie. So,
Okay,
yeah.
so we when I was at school learning animation, I met my buddy Josh. I met him through the film club, and he was in a couple of my classes. And originally, Matty was going to edit this, but he was busy making bank.
I did actually edit some of the scenes, and then I can't remember what happened. If your new editor decided he was going to re-edit the scenes or something with it, but I know I edited some scenes and I did see some scenes come together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just approached Josh and I kind of pitched him what I was doing, and he agreed to edit the movie. So he edited the first batch of, I don't know if it was the first batch of shooting from the summer. Yeah, it must have been the first batch of shooting from the summer, and then the scenes at the office. We shot at the actual newspaper office, and then yeah, I would give him scenes and he would edit them together. And then the next summer, I continued to shoot, and we shot the stuff in October, and we edited the movie together. And then I took it over to another friend of mine, Tyler Hummel. So my friend Tyler had revamped the audio of the movie, and then I had to do the visual effects myself. And I wanted to get a friend at school to do it, but everyone was so busy and this and that, so I ended up learning how to do it all myself. And I guess After Effects is a great tool for me, but at the time, like, I would rotoscope Tyler out of the frame in Photoshop, and then I would just bring the footage into After Effects and speed it up. So it took quite some time to do that. And then you would just do like I would do other visual effects, like putting like, an image on a TV screen, or, erasing a microphone out of a shot. Like, I would do all of that, and it took a lot of time, but that was really a lot of fun. And then we shot the scene in October, and I actually got to bring in some of my like 3D graphics knowledge into Marshall's scene with the hula hoops and everything. And after we did editing, we did the sound, we did visual effects, I sent it over to someone on Fiverr, and they did the color correction. And then I did two opening credit. I did a closing credit sequence and an opening credit sequence. And the opening credit sequence was uh, images of a comic book that were screen caps of the movie that I had drawn out and
Yeah.
flipped through like a comic. And then the opening scene was done in 3D, and it took like 3 weeks to render.
Yeah.
And I remember doing this on while we were on a road trip, and the computer would crash all the time. And I would call my mom and be like, check on the computer. And then the computer would crash, and I'd be like, boot up the computer, open up this program, press this button, and walk away from it. It was so fun.
Yeah.
And after we put all the movie together, I had to go to Imagine, which was the theater we premiered it at, and they had to tell me what format to put it in for the projector. So that was interesting. That took a whole day to render out too. That's a crazy format. I don't know anything about it, but yeah, that was how it came together in post production. Visual effects, editing, sound, motion graphics, color grading, Foley. We did Foley too. Yeah, everything. We did it all. We gave it the whole Hollywood treatment.
So, your movie premiere was what, 4 years ago already?
4 years ago this month.
Yeah. What
Oh
was
my
it like
gosh.
being on the big screen? I know you were really nervous.
Yeah. So I had been working on this movie for such a long time, and then the day finally came to show everyone, and it was at a beautiful theater called Imagine in Frankfurt, and it was just so surreal seeing something you made on screen like that. And I had done Kevin's movies, and I had worked on other films that had been shown in theaters like this before, but it was so surreal because it was my direction, and it was my story and everything I did. Um, it was super nervous. I was just overwhelmed too by the support that everyone came to and gave to me that day, and it was so meaningful because that earlier that like maybe a week or so, a couple days before the premiere, I was actually diagnosed with testicular cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So getting to go to the premiere and seeing all my friends and family, and then having all this work I've done get appreciated, and then knowing that my family and my friends were behind me, it meant so much going into that that my first cancer treatment, which was just my first and only one. So I was so relieved about that. So it was just a stressful time for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm thankful everyone showed up and were there.
Yeah.
Maddie, what about you?
Yeah, well, to piggyback off that a little bit. I remember when you told me about your diagnosis, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy that he told me at the end of the day. Not that it was easy for you in any way, but I was like, damn it, Simic, why'd you tell me? I didn't even want to know. But no, I'm glad I know. But I remember how that made me feel. How that made me feel. So, but the premiere, I mean, seeing it on screen, it's nerve wracking. You like Simic had said, you do a great job on this film, and you love what you made when you made it, and then you're talking months later on that you're actually premiering it for fresh eyes. And when you're watching it and you're watching it in a room with all these new eyes, you're just picking apart everything that you did,
Mm-hmm.
and you're cringing at everything because
Yeah.
within that time that you're premiering it, you've learned a new technique, or you realize you could have done something better, but now it's too late. It's on the screen for everyone's viewing pleasure, and you're just so nervous. But everyone in the audience, like I said, is fresh eyes, and they're like, wow, they're blown away by everything that they're seeing on the screen. And it makes you feel good. It takes away that nervousness at the end when everyone's clapping.
I was very relieved when that was over.
Even like my boss and your boss from our old jobs, like a couple years ago, they came too to support. It was really good. It was awesome. So, what would you do differently?
Well, besides everything, I guess if I were to write it now, I would try to follow a more structured 3 act structure, because like I I could look at this movie and be like, where's the first act, where's the second act, where's the third act, and then I have all this exposition near the end of the movie. It's like, what is that doing in there? I would also have shot it on an actual DSLR instead of a camcorder, because then you can get more fancy with the shots. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, it was such a learning experience to do it that there's so much I could list off, but that's just my personal opinion. Is just the basics. A more structured story, and then like better microphones and cameras.
Yeah, if I'd say more prep time would have been mine. Um, I feel like it came together so fast when you were like, "Hey, we're gonna do this," and then I was like, "Okay, when are we doing this?" And it was very soon. So I think prep time would have been something that I said I would have done differently. Just had a little bit more of it. Maybe had a bigger crew because I know that, like you had said earlier, you were wearing so many different hats that I think that if we had some more crew members to relieve some of that, we maybe could have paid attention to some things that we look back on now and say, man, I wish we would have did that better, or I wish we had
Absolutely.
an extra hand. So some more crew, um, like you had said, some rewriting of some scenes or making it a little more deficient of act one, act two, maybe play down the powers a little bit more just because Pete's character is new to these powers, so maybe some things he wouldn't
Like
have
a
been so
learning
good
stage.
at first. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, which actors would you fan cast as Pete, Darren, Orthy, and Gunther? And Mike, you get to fan cast your own character. So, who would you pick?
Um. So for Pete, I would actually pick Justice Smith. I think Pete having a cool factor with being a little bit nerdy but also athletic, that would be cool. Justice Smith does a lot of great vulnerable scenes. And for Darren, I think I picked one of the actors off of Cobra Kai. I can't remember his name, but he's a big muscular guy in Cobra Kai. Um, for my character Gunther, I would pick Gaten from Stranger Things,
Yes.
just because I feel like he's kind of giddy, and I'm kind of giddy, and that energy would match really well. And if I were to pick Orthy, I'd have to go with Sam Claflin, because
Okay.
I like the idea of Orthy being kind of like superior and like being like charismatic and physically like huge, and being kind of everything that Gunther wants to be, and then kind of having him being just on like the cusp of like success and riches and everything, and have it all torn away from him at that moment in the accident would be really fun.
Say we like to do fan casts on our show, so that's why I thought this would be a pretty cool thing to do. So for Pete, I have Jaden Martell, and Jaden Martell plays Bill from the young Bill from the It series.
Ooh,
I thought he'd be a good Pete. And then for my Darren, I have Asher Angel. Asher Angel plays Billy Batson
really that's
from the
yeah.
Shazam. And then for Orthy and Gunther, I went older because I figured for their characters and being where they're at, they might be in their early 30s. So for Orthy, I have Nicholas Holt.
Ooh, we just saw
Uh,
him in the menu.
yes, watched the menu recently as well. And then for Gunther, I wanted somebody who has the same nerdiness that you had. Um, I went with Evan Peters.
Oh,
And Evan Peters, for people who don't know, he's from uh
Dahmer.
he's Quicksilver. He's from Dahmer. He plays Dahmer. So
he also plays not Quicksilver.
yes,
Hey, what's his name?
Big
Ralph
Ralph
Boner.
Ralph Boner. Yep.
I actually met him at a convention. Yeah, a lot of energy. Yeah, I could see that.
So yeah, those are my fan cast choices.
That's awesome. So, if you had to make mock again, but you couldn't make it into a live action film, what medium would you pick? Like a comic book, video game?
Well, comic books usually come a lot. They're either the first thing or like a thing that comes after everything else. Like you can go and you can pick up Avatar, the Blue People comic books now, but like the movie came first. But I think like what first popped in my mind was like a video game. Like every level you get to play one of the different characters, Killer Queen, Mach, Orthy 9.8, and then like the 9.8 sections could be like Batman Arkham, meets Super Mario Galaxy, like where you get to control the gravity and get to go up on the walls, and you get to jump really high or fall from distances. You get puzzles. That would be really cool. And then of course an animated series would be cool, but probably a game first.
That's a good idea. I like that video game idea. For me, it would be a comic book, just because I spend like $30 a week on comic books, so I'd want to see a comic book film.
That's very conservative number, Maddie.
I'm telling you, I spent $28 this week. Last week I believe was 32, so it's right in that gap of I'd say $30 a week I spent on comic books.
So, Maddie, what is the most embarrassing thing Mike has done during your years of making movies together?
I would say, uh,
Oh my
I think
goodness.
that the most embarrassing thing about about Mike or filming with Mike is that he's the worst dead body in a movie ever. He's been a dead body in 2 movies, and it's not mock for listeners. It's not mock. There's 2 other movies that we made with our friend Kevin, and he's a dead body in them. And there was one of them where he has to lay on a slab, and he's about to have an autopsy done on him. And obviously, we don't live in a world where we have money to spend on a fake dead body that doesn't breathe. So Mike is on this table and he's moving his arms. He's breathing, not heavy, but you could see his chest moving. And it's
My
like,
heavy
dude,
breather.
stop moving, Mike, or stop smiling as well. And then the other one was he was a dead body on Tower Phi, and these kids have to dispose of the body, so they decide to take one guy in the arms, one guy in the legs, and they're going to throw him into a body of water. And while they're doing that, one of them accidentally pulls his pants off as they're going to throw him. So which isn't his fault, but it's like, damn it, Simic, why can't you be a good dead body?
Oh man, I feel like Peter Griffin. You know, when he's like, "Oh, it's a dead body on this show, but I got a boner, so they kicked me off."
Oh
Yeah.
God. Well, you're so ticklish too. Like
Yeah, I am
even like a
ticklish.
tickle of air, like you would laugh.
Johnny Rig was trying to perform like fake CPR on me, but he was actually compressing my chest, so air was coming out of my nasal cavity and my mouth,
Yeah.
and everyone's like, "Stop breathing." I'm like, "I can't help it. He's compressing my chest."
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's funny.
So yeah, that's the most embarrassing thing I think was that he's the worst dead body ever.
I will wear that title proudly. That was super fun.
So, what inspired you guys to become filmmakers?
I think. Oh man, I think I kind of fell into it like an accident. Like you know, Ryan approached me with like the pitch to make it into a movie. I was like, making movies sounds cool. And then when I met Kevin, I was like, oh, I want to learn everything about that. That makes you like the coolest person in the world that you make movies. And then when it was time to do it myself, I was like, I guess I'll do it. No one else is gonna do it except me. I'll do it. So I guess chance just made me want to make movies, and then the fact that like people kept quitting and people kept doubting me, and then spite became a big motivator for me. Um, Personal revenge, I guess. Yeah, maybe.
It's your own hero story in a
Yeah.
way. I would say that my biggest inspiration was, so when I was younger, I would film a lot of my friends who were in bands, and I would just take their music and make a music video out of different live performances of theirs. And I would use like Windows Movie Maker was my editing software at the time.
Yes.
And then my uncle Adhan, who was actually in mock as well, he was in college, and every time there was a project that he had to do for a class, he's like, we're gonna make a movie. So I was like, all right, cool. So again, this big boy pants thing came across us that we got to schedule, we got to do location scouting and editing and everything. So in a way, it was kind of my uncle that inspired me to do more with filming and take on certain roles and wear those hats, like Simic said earlier. And now I've kind of stepped away from filmmaking, but I edit vacation videos together for my daughters and my wife, so that way years down the line they'll be able to watch these 20-30 minute videos of our vacations, but it's still a filmmaking in a way where it takes a skill of editing and cinematography, and if you're going to add music or cutaways, like it's still a way of making movies. It's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, shout out to the Windows Movie Maker back in the day.
Absolutely,
Because that's how
absolutely.
I used to do things too.
I miss
So,
it.
what's your advice for wannabe filmmakers, specifically like two bros that are like, let's make a movie?
Oh, like research and read. Like I didn't even think to go to learn how movies were made other than just ask Kevin how it's done. Like there's lots of great books out there that you can read. There's lots of great templates for like shot lists and call sheets online. You could again like story structures you could get online as well. I mean, there's so many resources online. Like you don't even need to go to school to learn this stuff. You can kind of pick it up on the internet. But yeah, use every resource that you can, and don't be you have to take full responsibility for it. Like if like all the time when I was making mock, people would drop out, people would cancel. Like you have to be the sole reason this movie gets made. Like you have to own it, all of it, 100%, and you just have to follow it through.
Yeah, I would say that it doesn't matter what kind of equipment you have. Doesn't matter if you have a Leonardo DiCaprio. Doesn't matter if your script sucks. Just get out there and film something. If you're gonna learn from all your mistakes.
Yes,
But if you wait until you have the expensive camera and you have your Leonardo DiCaprio or you have the great script and then you make your movie and you make your mistakes, then you're gonna beat yourself up about it. So just
absolutely.
so just go out there and make your mistakes now, because you're just going to learn every single time, no matter what you're making.
I was in one of my classes, and my professor said, "You know what? Don't ever make a feature-length movie to show off your skills because there's not enough variety in them." And I was like, "Oh, well, that's a good point." And then he said, "If you make a bunch of short films, you will understand the process better every time you do it. So instead of jumping into a feature length film and making it like I did, start off making like 2 to 3 minute short films and then keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger so that when you make those mistakes, they're at such a small scale, like Matty was saying."
I'm dying to make another short film because it's so much fun. And I love the horror genre, so like I would continue with the horror genre.
It's
So
like a lot of like photographers or as well. Like if you're going to take a picture of a flower, you're going to take it straight on it the first chance you get. And then
mhm,
once you say, you know what, how can I make this different? You're going to go down lower, you're going to get a different angle, or you're going to make the light hit it different. Like there's so many things you're going to learn from one little thing if you just keep trying.
mhm. Yeah, and for our listeners, I mean, if you're interested in becoming a filmmaker, you got an idea in mind, you can always reach out to especially Maddie and Mike because they will offer you pointers. So feel free to reach out to us, comment or whatever. Yeah. So Maddie,
Absolutely.
thank you for coming back on, and
Thanks
then
thanks
Mike,
for having me, guys. Thanks for having me. I
yeah,
appreciate
and
it.
Mike, thanks for sharing your expertise with
Yeah,
our audience.
whatever expertise I have.
Yeah. So yeah, this was fun. This was good. So
Absolutely.
thank you guys as always for tuning in. And yeah, we have some good content coming up in the next month. We got like Ant-Man, and Mike and I were just talking about the 25th anniversary of Titanic. So I'm so excited about that. I'm a Titanic junkie. But anyway, I hope you guys have a good rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next time.